You are watching the Dangerous News Network, news, sports, and politics, where the content is uncut, uncensored, and unbelievable. And this is your host, Daniel McFarland. And tonight's topic is the Detroit Pistons against the Sacramento Kings, Game 8 of the 2013-2014 NBA season. And as you know, the Pistons, they won for a change. But they didn't do that great, though. This was a meaningless win. It meant absolutely nothing. All it means is that the Sacramento Kings, they're a shitty team, and that Detroit isn't that shitty as Sacramento as far as NBA teams go. But I will give you credit. Josh Smith, he deserves credit because it's due. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, and 4 blocks. And he only took 13 shots to get 21 points. That is pretty efficient. That was a complete game from Josh Smith. Now, Josh Smith needs to keep it up. But he does have the talent to keep this up. As for Brandon Jennings, he also had a good game as a point guard. As a scorer, he was inefficient. He had 9 assists. He had 11 points in spite of taking 15 shots. He needs to stop chucking, though. But as a point guard, he was efficient. If he can play a good point guard game, 9 assists per game, while 8 assists will suffice. He could be the answer for our point guard situation. But if Brandon Jennings is going to be inconsistent, then we need to trade his ass for Rajon Rondo. But I'm willing to give Brandon Jennings a chance. If he's a willing passer, if he's willing to play team ball, then he is a starting caliber player. Now, as for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he started, and he did decently, but then again, he's not proven. But if he can get that shot down, he will be something. A 3-and-D player that's a necessary element for a contender. But if he can't get that shot down by mid-year, then we need to trade for a starting shooting guard. We're going to need another shooter anyway because we're not shooting our threes. And Luigi Datome and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, they're the only shooters we got. As for Greg Monroe, he stunk last night. But that was one game. He had several good games this season. He wasn't always efficient, but most of the times he was. I wouldn't mistake Greg Monroe for an inefficient player. Andre Drummond, well, speaking of Greg Monroe's performance, he got owned by Jason Thompson and DeMarcus Cousins, provided DeMarcus Cousins is better than Greg Monroe. And I would trade Greg Monroe for DeMarcus Cousins if I could get him. But that's another point. Andre Drummond, he got owned by DeMarcus Cousins as well in the first 3 quarters. He wasn't a match for DeMarcus Cousins until Rasheed Wallace got into his ear. And Andre Drummond, he responded back and got the last laugh to the tune of 15 points and 18 rebounds. Those are Tyson Chandler-like numbers. But I can tell you that Andre Drummond, he can't shoot past 3 feet. That's right, he can't. But he had 10 defensive rebounds out of 18 total rebounds. That is progress. Now, I don't think he's going to be a big shot blocker like Tyson Chandler, but he's going to be able to block a shot. But if he can play half the defense of Ben Wallace and a poor version's Tyson Chandler and get the rebounds like Tyson Chandler and the garbage dunks like Tyson Chandler, he won't exactly be a bad NBA. He won't exactly be a bad NBA player. Matter of fact, that's what most starting NBA centers are. Limited offensive game, but great rebounding and competent shot blocking at least, and good defense as well. That's about what I expect from Andre Drummond. And in the last quarter, Andre Drummond came alive. Now let's talk about the bench. Love it or hate it, Rodney Stuckey, he's our best player coming off the bench. As much as I don't like his game, I'm not a fan of Rodney Stuckey, but Rodney Stuckey, he ain't that bad. But having said that, I would trade Rodney Stuckey, though, at the trade deadline. Get us another shooter. And we can throw in Tony Mitchell or Peyton Seeley in order to get that done. He doesn't even have to be a starter. How about we take Marcus Thornton? He's a shooter, but he's a backup, though. But let's talk about Kyle Singer. He's a situational player that doesn't need to be playing a lot of minutes. Now, he had a decent game. He was still inefficient. But this is his only decent game that he's going to have in the next 5 games. Count on that. Jonas Jerebko was surprisingly efficient in his limited minutes. Luigi Datome, he wasn't in rhythm. So Maurice Cheeks pulled him out. Don't expect him to get into rhythm if he doesn't have minutes. He needs his minutes. And Jerebko and Singer, they can sit on the end of the bench for all I give a fuck. But that's another story. But the player of the game was Josh Smith by a mile. It wasn't even close. Even though Andre Drummond, he came alive in the fourth quarter, but he needs to do that from start to finish if he wants to win player of the game from me. But having said that, this was a weak team. DeMarcus Cousins is the only starter that has done something for the Sacramento Kings. You have a point guard that will be a backup on a real team. You have a rookie shooting guard. You have a small forward that will be a backup on a contender. You have a power forward who's at best a bench player. Marcus Thornton, he's a backup shooting guard at best. Maybe a passable sixth man, which is what we're getting from Rodney Stuckey except for his shooting. The only thing Rodney Stuckey ain't is a shooter. Marcus Thornton, he can shoot, but he's not a starter. Limited size and limited defense and a limited game overall. Now, as for Will Bynum, sit his ass down. Sit Will Bynum's ass down. He's a weak player. He sucks. I had enough of Will Bynum. I hope his ass sits on the end of the bench. Chauncey Billups, he didn't play. He's nursing an injury. Well, Chauncey Billups, that's what happens when you grow old. When you grow old and pass your prime, you get injured. Chauncey Billups, he better not be playing shooting guard, let alone start. He should be the backup point guard to Brandon Jennings. The starting five should be Brandon Jennings at point guard, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at shooting guard, even if it's only for 25 minutes. Josh Smith, Greg Monroe, and Andre Drummond, I guess, will be starting up front. I want to see a complete game more often than not from Josh Smith from now on. And Greg Monroe, I think he's going to rebound from the sucky game he had. Because he's had better, more efficient games against the Pacers of all teams. And have Stuckey come off the bench as a sixth man. At least he's palatable at the sixth man spot, even though his game is limited. Chauncey at backup point guard. Luigi should be the chief backup small forward. He's got six-man potential. So that should be your eight-man rotation with Kyle Singer and and Jonas Jerebko as your situational guys coming off the end of the bench. And Bynum, he deserves to be buried. And that is all I got to say about the Detroit Pistons. And this is the Dangerous News Network. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Daniel McFarland. And my Facebook page is D32009. Well, Facebook.com/D32009. And my Facebook name is Daniel McFarland. And my Twitter page is DangerousD2013. This is Daniel McFarland, and I approve this mess.